AJ number. Woo!
Bruh,
What?
what you listening to, man?
R. Kelly.
Nah, bruh, I ain't going for that, bruh. You ain't hear what he did, bruh?
Listen, man, I heard about all that, but I can separate the man from the artist.
Get that shit, bruh, man. You gonna support a nigga who rapes little children, bruh?
Hey. I'm not into none of that. But you can't tell me that remix to Ignition, You Are Not Alone, that man's a legend. I don't understand why you can't just let it go.
Nah, bruh, I can't, bruh. Never, bruh. He off my blacklist, bruh.
Welcome to Time and a Half. I'm Operator 16 alongside X, David, and Bryce. Today we are covering the topic of Mr. Robert Kelly. So what do you guys think?
Yo, R. Kelly is under some fire right now.
R. Kelly nasty.
It's disgusting.
It is disgusting. Okay, first off, has everyone seen the Surviving R. Kelly series?
I've seen most of it, and it's...
I can't watch anymore after the first two parts.
I played the fifth.
I watched the first two parts, and it was one of the grossest things I've ever seen in my life. And I don't mean to laugh because I'm a sexual abuse survivor, but it was a lot of questions that I had. One, how could people allow this man to do what he did for so long?
He had to have been protected. Like, there were people... Well, they know there were people hiding the things he were doing, forging documents for him, and basically keeping him out of court. That, plus the money he's able to spend on doing so. I mean, it just went under the table, under the rug for so long.
Right. But when you see things like he was hanging around high schools, like after he graduated, and when you hear about how he runs these girls' lives, and if you weren't like a Bulls fan, you couldn't eat dinner, and I don't understand how I'm gonna say it, how a lot of black people still can defend this man. His Spotify streams went out
That's
the
blew
roof.
me. Bad publicity, there's no such thing as bad publicity though.
There isn't, but at what point do you say, like, I don't want that? Like, yes, everything gets your name out there and everything can help you grow, but at what point is integrity like something that you care about?
I feel like that's a problem we have in America. Like, whatever brings you income, especially when you're making his kind of income, whatever brings you that money, it's whatever. It doesn't matter if it's good or it's bad. At the end of the day, he's still R. Kelly. He's still done the things in music that he's done, and he's still rich. So it depends on him. If a lot of people hate him, it doesn't matter. He's still rich. His life doesn't change because people know what he's done. So it might just be worth it to him.
And the people by his side, if I can stay full and stay loyal, because that's just how things are done. Stay loyal to the hand that feeds you.
So does money make it right or make an excuse for it?
Oh, it's not right. The people who protected him all these years, they should be under fire too. But people can't always be straightforward. They can't always be good, Obviously, somebody had a conscience to come out and say this, but as for why they waited so long and let people become victim to him after all these years, that's an issue in itself.
I think we all play a part in it because we were all old enough to remember when the sex tape dropped. I know we all remember that. There is no black person in their mid-20s who doesn't remember that sex tape. And it was a joke in the black community. It wasn't taken seriously. People watched it. When the Boondocks tried to warn us about R. Kelly, we played it off. It was never taken seriously. This only became an issue when, once again, these girls' parents came forward and said, we haven't seen our daughters in years. So it's like, do I blame him or do I blame us as a community for letting him and every person like him breathe for so long?
I feel like it has a lot to do with... it's not right. I can't say it's right, but if people consider it worth it. Because you have to think... I don't know necessarily R. Kelly's background, like how he grew up and stuff. I know him as an artist and as an adult, but not how he grew up. But say you have somebody that grew up poor.
Right.
If your goal is to get to a point where you're no longer struggling, your family's no longer struggling, you want to see that income coming in, what's worth it to you varies from person to person. What you're willing to do varies from person to person. So let's say this was a grand master plan of his. Fantasies and all the sick stuff he wanted, to have going on, but it was a grand master plan in his pursuit for wealth. The bad publicity and all this stuff happening to him right now could be worth it. so that he can stay as wealthy as he is.
I also don't put it all on him. That's a great point, by the way. I also don't put it all on him. I put a lot on his parents. Because there's no way in hell that, I don't care how rich you are and how much money you have, that you can say, I'm going to give you this amount of a check and you're going to take my 15-year-old or 14-year-old and I'm just not going to see them. Like, there's no grown person that I would trust like that. So it makes me wonder, like, how much do these parents want fame and riches and fortune that they're willing to say, here's my little girl, and not worry about it? Because if you look at the recent allegations, those are all started from 2016 on. You knew then, bar none, that he had at least, like, if you didn't believe everything that happened, say you didn't believe the sex tape, you knew that he married Leah at 15. There is a signed marriage document saying that. So how do we not put more blame on these parents for just being like, okay, here you go?
Because, I mean, if I was a parent, I'd be kind of scared, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how or what or the state of my daughter is in, you know what I'm saying, with this man. And, like, let's say, God forbid, for instance, if I do come out, you know what I'm saying? Who knows, he's not just going to get rid of my daughter, you know? Yeah. So I feel like that also played a part in why it may have took so long, you know? On the hand of, like, whose fault it is, I really feel it's a problem of, like, the male... I feel like it's a problem with the black culture and the mentality. Because I feel like he grew up pretty messed up. Like, we're talking about a guy who was, like, sexually abused as a kid, and his brother was too. And I feel like that definitely had a part to deal with how he grew up and how he's interacting with women. I feel like there's got to be a place in black communities where we can actually have conversations about the abuse that goes on in our families' lives. I feel like it's not something that just happens out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah,
it's something that's just deeply rooted, you know?
Like, it's swept under the rug.
Yeah, exactly.
People are abused by family members. It's never talked about. And what I thought about was that, is this what this man thinks love is? If you've been touched by your sister, which came out today, by the way, that his sister touched him and his brother when they were 6 and 10. If that was placed in your mind young, that's what love is, and that's how love is shown. Is he a victim, or is he at fault?
See, here's my issue with that. No matter how you're brought up, the world will show you what's right and wrong.
Amen.
So whether let's say for instance, you grow up, your parents are hired assassins, hitmen, you see them kill people all their lives, but you grow up and everybody in the world tells you killing is wrong. Are you going to follow what your parents say or what the rest of the world as a culture, as a society has deemed right and wrong? You know?
I feel like that has a lot to do with consequences, though. Because somebody can tell you something is wrong, but if you're either not punished for it or you can get out of being punished for it, is it technically wrong?
Well, not so much the punishment, I would say, so much as you need to realize what the consequences are in general. What is wrong with what you may have done, Whether it's, touching someone underage, whether it's killing someone, whether it's hurting someone in some way, it comes down to whether you show empathy for them or whether you get what you want out of it and you're done.
Yeah, but if the consequences never come back to you, there's no reason to care about it, right? R. Kelly knows what he's doing is wrong, but he has the money, resources, and the connections to get out of it.
Yeah,
so he doesn't care that it's wrong.
He doesn't care at all.
Well, what about the music? Because in black families, R. Kelly music is a staple. You listen to that from the time you're born. But now it's not just his music, it's Michael Jackson's music that he wrote for. It's Whitney Houston's music. It's, other artists. Like, do you still listen to songs that he made, that he wrote? Like, what do you guys think about that?
That's a problem. I feel like that's a problem with American culture and idolization as far as the black community goes. Because Americans in general idolize celebrities and rich people. We love them. We want to be like them. They have the lifestyle that everybody pursues. So the things they did to get there don't necessarily matter. We're not thinking about that. All we care about is R. Kelly is R. Kelly. He makes the music that we want to listen to. He drives the cars that we want to drive, lives in the houses that we want to live in. So he may have touched a few little girls in the process, but the mindset of some people that I've talked to is, if you could have that lifestyle, who wouldn't? And I don't agree with that at any means, but
see, I feel like that's where social media has fooled a lot of people. Because if we didn't live in society where social media was so prevalent, a lot of people wouldn't chase that fame and fortune lifestyle. Like Lil Yachty said the other day, and it was perfect. He was like, we live in a society now where no one wants a regular job. No one wants to just work a 9 to 5 and go home. We all want to be famous for something. And so that plays a part when you want to be famous for music or something, and you're not okay with just being a local artist. You're going to sell yourself out to whoever is willing to give you that chance. But when I mean like his music, right? When you listen to the story of when he wrote You Are Not Alone for Michael Jackson, he wrote that about a 17-year-old girl that he impregnated, gave mono, she had a miscarriage, and was damn near paralyzed for life, and gave her like $1,000 and said goodbye. Can you still listen to a song like that?
That varies. For me personally, I can say no, but that varies from person to person. Because there are people that don't care why a song was written; they only care that it's catchy. They only care that they like the melodies or the harmonies. So, a lot of this stuff is opinion based, and we can agree. All four of us might be able to agree that something is right or wrong, but somebody else could easily come up and say, "That's my favorite song. I'm gonna listen to it every time it comes on the radio. I don't care what it's about." And there's nothing we can do to change their opinion. It doesn't make them a bad person. It might make them insensitive, but it doesn't necessarily make them a bad person just for listening to the music.
I'm kind of on the fence on that one simply because a song can be written to portray someone's story, but it can relate to somebody else in a different way. So if a song's good, it doesn't matter who wrote it or what it's about. You know, if it's a good song and it's not blatantly offensive to somebody, like in an obvious way, like you can write a love song and you could write it about somebody that's in a promiscuous and, you know, dark-seated manner, but you could see it in your eyes and that it fits your life in a way that touches your heart. Does it make it wrong because you see the song through your own perspective, or because you see the song through their perspective and what they wrote it about? Or is it's a good song and it hits my heart because I've lived a life like that, just in a different light, you know? Because songs are never super specific. It's never, I did this with this person and this happened, this, that. It's very vague and it can fit a lot of people. That's the whole purpose of, you know, good, catchy, not even just love songs, but songs in general, that people can relate to it because they live lives and have moments that follow the trends of, you know, the lyrics, you know, the beats, melody, things in the song that just really get you, you know?
Or even like what he was saying, take AJ Number to Number. That was a very specific song about a very specific thing, and you know, people knew what it was about, and you know, they kind of swept it under a rug, be like, okay, it's a cool song, we'll let it slide. But technically, like what Bryce was saying, it could be, you know, a 50-year-old, you know, old Hugh Hefner looking dude singing to a 25-year-old.
Why Hugh Hefner gotta be old?
Hugh Hefner is like R. Kelly for white people, though.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, if we're gonna call out R. Kelly, why are we not calling out every
Michael
artist?
Jackson, Steven Tyler.
Back on what Xavier was saying, like, for instance, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, very vague, you know. Teenagers in love, you're thinking, oh, I'm 14, 15, I love this person, I want to marry him. Age ain't nothing but a number. If I want to get married, if I know I want to spend the rest of my life with this person, age ain't nothing but a number, I'm going to marry him. You see how it fits other people? You know, I don't know the lyrics exactly. For all I know, he could be talking about, you know, specific parts and a specific hymn, like, oh, this 24-year-old chest, you know, on this 12-year... No, that's disgusting. That's a different story. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Well, okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Have any of you ever wrote a song?
Yeah.
Okay. I've tried to.
Okay, so I personally have written over 200 songs in my life. So when I hear about stories like that, for me as an artist, it's hard for me to just be like, I can't. Like, yes, I understand that songs are open to interpretation, but I write them, and so I know the emotions that people put into them. And when you write a song like You Are Not Alone, it's laughing in the face of someone that you put through hell. Like, can you imagine that woman now knows that her greatest life pain is one of Michael Jackson's greatest hits.
Now, for her, I 100% understand that.
Like, I think about things like that.
It is about perspective at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Because people can interpret things different ways. Like, I think this is a perfect example for me because like people always ask me like, do you still support Kanye? You know what I'm saying? After all he's done, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's hard because you're talking about a guy who is supporting, you know what I'm saying? This, yeah.
See, now we're getting into separating the artist from the person.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Can you
And that's
support-
the biggest issue with this right now. And I can do that with a lot of people. I do it with Kanye. I do it with Russ. But it's hard for me to do it with R. Kelly because now we have so much evidence that, like, even if only 1% of these girls are being factual, that's a lot of girls that you treated wrong.
The biggest difference between Kanye and R. Kelly is Kanye even admitted that, or he found out and admitted that he was being used. And now he wants to be left alone while he figures himself out. People at least accept that. Some people at least accept that as an apology. And they're leaving Kanye alone. R. Kelly isn't apologizing for anything. He is
true.
denying everything, even the stuff we have facts on. And he's trying to clap back with his own social media accounts to, you know, prove people as liars. Those have been shut down. He's trying to stop all the movements against him. He's trying to sue some people. That's one of the reasons why you can't forgive R. Kelly, because he's still lying.
Because he's digging himself a deeper hole.
Right, like the whole Facebook page to expose people and the website that they're planning. I'm just like, I don't know who on your legal team is letting you know that this is a good idea, but all you're gonna do is piss people off more. And now he has two criminal investigations into him in Chicago and here in Atlanta. It just makes me wonder, like, how much time does this man have, and who's going to be there to support him? And do we, as not only just a black community, but as people in general, do we still support those people who support him? Like, that's my biggest issue right now with this topic, is because it's made me realize so many people are not sensitive to sexual abuse survivors. And as one, it irritates me because it's like, y'all don't know the pain and the irritation and the demons that come from that. Like, I'm still in love with my abuser to this day, and it's something that I can't deal with. It's hard. So it's like, when I look at people who make excuses for this man, it's like, do I allow these people to still be in my life? Do I still say that's okay? Like, this whole thing has made me question the people around me.
Okay, so let's say you were to meet someone who condemns, like outwardly condemns everything R. Kelly has done. They say he's a bad person, all that good stuff. But they still are very willing to listen to his music. Mind you, I'm not saying going to any concerts, you're not buying anything else from R. Kelly, but we all have songs on our playlist already, and you can find free music online. Mm-hmm. So still willing to maybe, you know, go to Google Play and listen to the R. Kelly song that you already had before all this came out. What do you think of people like that?
I mean, as long as you condemn it, I really can't say too much, because even me, like, I was watching part 2 and Ignition came on. I was singing I was singing that. Like, it's hard to just not listen to any R. Kelly music, because there's just so much of it that we've been ingrained to love forever. So it's like, I get it. I wouldn't like say that you're a bad person for listening to it. I just don't like the people who are so quick to put it all on the victims. Like, yes, these people should have been aware, but it's a scientific fact that your brain is not fully developed until you turn 25. So your decision making can be extremely different, I'll say, into that point. So I don't put it on these girls as much as I put it on their parents and the people around him who let this go. But when you hear things like he had sex with Aaliyah on tour buses in front of people, and he likes to pee on these girls, and it's graphic, and when you see his ex-wife cry and like wish this man to go to hell, like, I just have a hard time believing that these women are lying. Like, who would do all this just to lie on somebody? And I'm not saying that women don't, because we all know plenty of women who will lie on famous men just for the check. It happens in our community all the time. But when it's this many women telling this many stories, like, how can anyone say that they're lying?
Well, at what point should we listen to the people that speak up, but also check for those lies? Like, what should we do to verify that these people aren't lying?
Because this is happening in the Me Too era. What if this documentary had happened 10 years ago?
Stuff like this has happened 10 years ago.
Right, but
this
I'm
isn't
saying,
the first
like,
time R. Kelly's
if
name
it
is
wasn't in the Me Too era, would it be this big of a deal?
Probably not. This is the time for all sexual abuse survivors to come out and get back at their abusers.
Yeah.
The climate we live in right now is perfect for that. And all of the stuff, and I have a hard time saying that it shouldn't be happening, because the abusers should be punished for what they did. But I feel like people are just taking advantage of the situation at this point.
I want to piggyback off that because I was watching the Joe Budden podcast, and one of their members brought up an excellent point, and that was, if his ex-wife hates this man so much and he brings you to tears and you wish him to go to hell, why do you still have his last name? And obviously piggyback somewhat off that financially or whatever way you do it. If this man was a demon and he put you through so much that you can't even talk about half of it, which I get, because there's parts of my story I will never tell anyone. It's just too painful. But at the same time, I don't talk about my abuser. I don't have a last name with my abuser. I still love the person. I just don't want to be around them. She still has this man's last name. So it's like, why do you still carry that piece of you if he fucked you over so much? Excuse my language.
I don't feel like pain is linear. There's different levels. And even though she says she's hurt, says all the bad things about him, I feel like there's still stuff that she's shielded herself against that she can deal with.
It has to be.
And the notoriety, whatever, I don't know how his last name would translate into income, but whatever income she can get from continuing his last name, the fame that she has for it, it's clearly worth the situation that she's in, because she's weighed her options with his last name versus without, and would rather live with it. And that goes back to, like we were saying before, people want the fame, they want the notoriety, they want to be somebody. Because we have a society of you're either somebody or you're basically just a social security number.
Unfortunately, and I think that goes back to social media, but also
well, not necessarily social. Like, I'm kind of confused about what Lil Yachty said, but because back in the day when there wasn't social media, when radio and TV was still, people still idolized celebrities.
Right.
Celebrities were still big. They're bigger now because we see their faces all the time, but people still wanted to be famous. They still wanted to do everything they could to get their names out there, because that translated into more money.
Yeah, I think he was just referring to like the amount of, especially like young people these days. Yes, there's always been people who want to be famous and rich, and that will go on to the end of time. But the amount of young people who no longer want any type of a normal job, I think, has skyrocketed because of social media, and that trickles down to parents also, who will do anything to see their kids famous, because it means that they'll get money. So you'll give your child to someone who might be a sexual abuser, as long as it might bring a 6 or 7 figure check 1 year. Like,
well, think about how much money you can make doing that. Because if I have a 12-year-old who can't work yet, I mean, I could give them a job, but like, they can't actually work in society yet. I'm a videographer, right? So I have cameras. If I was to give my 12-year-old son my camera because they want to go vlog and be a vlogger one day, that's real easy for me to do, and there's potential income in that. Like you said, 6-figure income, that comparatively to a 9-to-5 intro job right now that'll pay you like $10 if you're lucky. No, but nobody wants that. And you can understand why, because the income potential isn't there. Nobody wants to get up every day, go commute in traffic, be part of the rat race grind for pennies on the dollar, when it's already proven that you can basically pick your nose on YouTube, and as long as somebody's gonna watch it, you can make money off of it.
There's ways to make money everywhere. But I wanted to ask you guys a question. So it came out that there was a lot more there are a lot more people in the famous world who chose not to do it. Like Dave Chappelle, Erykah Badu, Jay-Z, all people who were asked to do this and turned it down. Do you fault them for it?
No, because fame and wealth, fame and wealth are two different sides of a similar coin. You can be wealthy, but nobody know your name. You can be famous and broke.
There's a lot of that.
And just because one person wants one doesn't mean they want the other.
True.
Being wealthy but not famous has its benefits. One being you're free to go spend your money however you want. To the people on the outside, you're just your everyday average dude. I mean, yeah, you're wealthy, but you're everyday average dude. When you're famous, people that don't know any better, first of all, expect you to be rich. So being wealthy and famous, yeah, you have the money, but like T.I. can't leave his house, go for a walk, go to the coffee shop and chill, because people will harass him all day. And not a whole lot of people want that.
Well, my thing is that, like, I can understand why they said no, but it's also like these will be the same people who will like especially people like Erykah Badu, who I love Erykah Badu, and she champions women so much, but it's like we have a chance to be a part of history and be a part of something that could potentially end a vicious cycle in our community. Why would you not step up and at least be okay with just like speaking out against it? Like who at this point would hate anybody if they said I don't like R. Kelly?
Well, it could also tarnish backroom business. Like, I'm just throwing ideas out there.
And that's one and that's been talked about. That's one of the main reasons why people don't do it. But it's like, why do we champion even people like that in our culture that are not willing to sacrifice things for the greater good? Now, Jay-Z, I get it, because it's been known he was plotting on Beyonce since he was 16. Not saying anything happened. Don't know. Not saying that. I'll never say that. He just openly has admitted he liked Beyonce since she was 16. So I understand why he may not want to sit down, because that will bring him out as a hypocrite. But people like Dave Chappelle, who have daughters, and Erykah Badu, who's a huge woman supporter, I just expected some more celebrities to come out and be in it and say this is wrong, rather than getting on Twitter and saying F R. Kelly. Like, they all got on Twitter and said F R. Kelly, but where were you when it was time to like record this and be a part of it?
Like, what do we expect the outcome to come though? When we
exactly.
ask, like, yeah,
what
you
is
know
next?
what I'm saying? Like, what do we expect them
What's
to do?
What's going to change
Yeah.
if they speak besides take time out of their lives? Like, you've already got people lined up talking about it, etc. These other few people, what more is it going to accomplish? Do they have any evidence to bring to the table to convict him? If not, then it's literally a publicity stunt. And if they have other things to do, they have lives to live. They're famous people. They have things they need to do. They can't put their life on hold to go somewhere and record for whatever's going on. But they can easily pick up their phone and be like, they shared their opinion. Fuck R. Kelly,
Hey, thank you for watching Time and a Half.
Please do not forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell notification on our YouTube channel.
And also, I know you're on Instagram, so please follow us at @time&ahalf_. And please always let us know any show suggestions, topics. This is for you. We're just here to serve the people, because we always have time and a half.